Connecting to server.
Join the webinar.
Okay, it's recording as well.
There you are.
Okay.
There you are. Can you see me? You're not supposed to, are you? I'll hang up.
Hi everybody. Hope you can hear me. Hi Donna. Can you hear me?
I'm here.
Right, I was just checking you could hear me. And you see me?
I can see you. You're going to set up your screen?
Great. Well, I just thought I'd check that I was broadcasting.
You are broadcasting, Jackie Lane.
Fantastic. Now, I don't think I have to accept other attendees, but we'll soon find out.
Yes.
Odd that there's only us two at the stage. I'm just going to disable talking. Hello, Andy Kennard. How are you? Welcome. I'm going to be a bit distracted as people come into here, so we'll just say a few hellos and we'll see who else pops in. So Andy, while you're there, hello Vagita, how are you? You're still in Egypt, huh? So if anyone's joining in, if you would like to say hello in the Q&A panel down the bottom, that'd be great. And I'll do my best to say hello and welcome you as you come on board. And as a book person, tech is not my core skill. So hopefully we'll get all that right too. There we go. So Vakita is coming all the way from Egypt, which is fantastic. Great part of the world that I've visited before. And Andy, I'm not sure where you're based. I think Sydney. And we have Donna also coming in from Geraldton in Western Australia, which is great. And interested to see who's working. Ah, great, you're sitting in Egypt. Wonderful. That's great, Viveka. And what's the time over there at the moment? Hope it's not too late in the evening. So I'm just realising that, you know, these whole webinar things work on a just-in-time basis, I guess because people are coming in from other webinars. Hi, Matt, how are you today? I'm presuming you're coming from the North Coast, I think you belong. And we also have Sherry. Hi, Sherry. If you want to say hello from where you are, pop the thing in the Q&A section. And we'll just wait a couple of minutes while people join the webinar. And if I'm looking a bit distracted, it's because I'm looking at who's joining so I can welcome you all. So I'm looking forward to today to share my journey around books and stories and hopefully help you guys too. Tamara, welcome. In the Q&A section, you might want to pop in where you're based, Tamara, so we can get a fix on where you are. We have someone in from Egypt at the moment, and Geraldton, and I'm based in Sydney. Ah, Sherry, hi, you're from Sydney. Beautiful day here at the moment. And Tamara from Melbourne. So you're going back into lockdown, Tamara. And Lorna, how are you? And where are you from? Where are you coming in from, Lorna? Yeah, Tamara, it's a bit sad, isn't it? But I'm sure that we'll have more of this coming up as we go. So we've got about 9 participants so far. If you don't mind, we might wait a couple more minutes before we get started. And I'm usually pretty good at my timing, so we'll still end up at the same time. And just for the people who have joined on board, if you've got any questions, pop them in the Q&A. And if I don't get to them during the webinar session, I can always pick them up later. And I'll do my best to moderate those as well as, you know, run the webinar as well. So it's all a bit of fun. Ah, Matt, Berkeley Vale on the Central Coast. Must be gorgeous up there today. It's pretty special down here in Sydney. And we've got Viveka coming in from Egypt. So, you know, from all parts of the world at the moment. Okay, so we've been on board for a couple of minutes now. I might just wait a couple more minutes if you don't mind. And while we're doing that, I might just show you guys some of the books that some of my clients have recently published. This is by Gary Brown. It's about personal branding. This is another one about startups, and it's about if you're a startup and you want to get some financing. So that comes from her. And this is an interesting one, given the topic. This is frontline patient safety. It's all about, for medical professionals, about how they can get their systems in place to keep them safer. So perhaps we should send a few of those out. Catherine, good morning, Catherine. How are you today? Catherine comes from my part of the world, and we often go walking together in Centennial Park, which is great. And Greg Harris, good morning, Greg. Nice to see you on board. Hi to everyone present, that's great. And as I've said, if you've got any questions, I'll endeavour to answer them as they come in, and if not, I'll get to them at the end of the session. Okay, I think we might get started, and if you can bear with me, I will endeavour to work the tech and see how we go. So just for starters, I wanted to welcome you all here today, and thank you very much for taking the time to spend a bit of time with me and look at your books. So as I said, we've got people coming in here from Egypt, from Texas, from Geraldton in Western Australia, Berkeley Vale up on the coast, the Gold Coast and Hobart, and of course Sydney and Melbourne. Now the outline of the webinar today is, I'm going to have you all on mute, and any questions can go through the Q&A. Because I'm also operating that, if I don't get to those answers as you come through, we'll do that at the end. And I'm also recording this so that if you need to leave early or you want to replay, we will get a recording back through to you. What we're going to run through today is there's going to be 3 course parts of the webinar today. And as I've said, the whole idea is to give you an introduction as to how you can write, plan and publish your book. And I promised that I would give you the 3 key strategies to help you confidently start your writing book program in the next 30 days. Then I'm going to give you a bit of an overview of the Write Strategy book program. And there is a special webinar offer at the end of that program. So really looking forward to spending half an hour or so with you today on that. Now this is one of my most favourite quotes in the world. Comes a point in your life when you have to stop reading other people's books and start writing your own. And I'm very much a believer in that. And it's a very important part of my life. I read and write books constantly. And if I'm not reading or writing them, I'm helping other people to do that. But before we start, I'd like to share something really interesting with you and have a bit of fun, just because we can. So when I asked you to register for this webinar, I also asked you a question about how long you had been thinking about writing your book, or if you'd written your book, how long it's been sitting in your computer. So I would like to run a bit of a competition, and in the Q&A, if you could, or the chat, I'll try and manage both, if you could perhaps give me your answer to this question. So how long do you think is the longest period of time someone on this webinar has been thinking about writing their book? So if you can pop your answers in. Yeah, Catherine, hopefully not screen sharing. Hopefully you can see me on the video. Is that correct? Oh, Matt Hingerty, 5 years. Wow, that's extraordinary. Tamara, 2 years. Okay. It's a bit longer than Lorna, 10 years. Yeah, that's getting closer actually to the number we had. Andy Willis, 14 years. That's extraordinary. So a few more answers coming through. And can you guys actually see me on the screen? I'm hoping so. Perhaps the Q&A would be a great place to do that. And we've, so Andy, 14 years. And tell me what stopped you from getting on that, if you can send that through. So for a lot of you, that's actually quite a lot of time. Yeah, so, okay, so any other answers? That's great, Donna, thanks, you can all see me. So most of the time, actually, you will see me on this webinar, not too many slides, because, you know, I like sharing what we're doing there. So that's great. 10 years. Oh, wow, Marlon, 25 years. That's extraordinary. So, okay, so at this stage, Marlon is the winner at 25 years. So Marlon, you are going to, I'm going to send you a copy of Gary Brown's book, which is Brand New, Brand You. And it's all about how to build and maintain relevance and reputation. So Gary's one of my clients, and we actually had a major virtual book launch for Gary about 3 weeks ago, and had something like 450 people on Gary's book launch. So that was pretty interesting. So well done, Marlon, on that. I'll pick up your address at the end of the session. So as I said, what I was wanting to do today is cover off the 3 steps that you need in order to confidently start your book writing journey. And I know a couple of you have shared with me that in fact you've written a draft of your book, but and that's still in a drawer or in your computer screen. And so hopefully by sharing these 3 tips, we will either get you started on your book or help you get re-energized and refocused on what you can do with it. And that was also part of my promise to you, is to help you get re-energized and refocused and get your book out the other end of this. And then also there's a special offer for those attending the webinar, which is only available on the webinar. So I'm just going to head off to my screen share again. So as I said, you know, 80% of business owners and people say that they want to write a book to share their knowledge and make an impact, but only about 1% ever get round to doing it. So, and that's a real shame, because a lot of people have a lot of knowledge and insights that they want to do. So the 3 steps that you need to get started in the next 30 days are now up on the screen, and I'll be chatting to those as we go through. And the first one is, what is your purpose and your goal? So that's, that's mission critical really, for this. And whilst it may sound easy to say what your goal is, it's actually really important for a whole bunch of reasons. Defining what your goal is determines a whole lot of other bunch of elements and decisions that you're going to make about your book. So some goals might be that you want to increase your profile, that you want to help build your business or your relevance. You might want to sell thousands of copies and become an Amazon bestseller. And I've got some tips on that too. You might want to leave a legacy. So you might have knowledge and insights to share, and you want to share those with a small group of people or a wider group of people. Alternatively, you might want to become known as an expert in your field. So depending on the purpose and goals that you have, you will be making a whole range of different decisions as you go through the book writing and publishing journey. And it's important to be clear about that, because if you want to sell thousands of books as your goal, you'll be making different decisions about what kind of publishing you're going to do, how much time and money you're going to spend on your marketing, what you're going to do for your marketing, whether you print lots of books, whether you produce it as an ebook or an audio book. So as opposed to if you're more interested in a legacy kind of situation, you will be less concerned about the quantity of books that you want to sell, and more focused on what you're writing to a small audience. So really important for you is that you get very clear on your purpose. And so a number of my clients are less concerned about selling thousands of books and way more focused on that they want to use their book as a tool to bring people to their website, to find a way to engage people and use it as an engagement tool so that they can develop more business, or in fact maybe adapt what they're known for in the marketplace. So it's really important to get clear on this dynamic between selling your book or whether you're using it as a tool to build different relevance, build on your reputation, be asked to be a speaker, be referred to by journalists as an expert in your field. And I made a bit of a comment about Amazon and selling thousands on Amazon. One of my clients has actually recently published a book about step parenting, and she's now an Amazon bestseller. The trick to Amazon though is that you can become a bestseller by selling 50 books, and there's a way to game the Amazon bestseller market. Personally, I'm not a great fan of it, but if that's what someone wants to do, you actually can do that. And again, that goes back to that whole purpose equation. And so again, most people actually want to use their book as a tool to provide a mechanism for them to increase their relevance and reputation in a particular field. So knowing what your purpose and your outcomes are before, or even if you're halfway through your project or your writing, is really super critical. And if you join the program, it's one of the things that we spend quite a bit of time on up front, because you will be making a whole bunch of different decisions later on down the track about what kind of book you want to publish. If you even in fact want to publish a printed book, it might be it's better off that you do an ebook or do an audio book or print on demand. So there's a whole range of different options coming out the other end of the writing process that are determined by what your purpose is. So purposes and your goals are really important. And also for those people who have got stuck in their writing, it's possibly because you weren't clear on your purpose, and therefore you get distracted and then are not sure about what you're going to write. So again, a bunch of this thinking and planning work up front is really, really important. The second key step that you really need to think about, and it's one that most writers don't, is that you know, you have to really think about who you're writing for. Who's your target audience and what are their challenges? So one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they start their writing journey is they say to themselves, I've got all this knowledge that I want to share with the world, and I'm going to put it down in my book and everyone's going to love it. Well, that's great, and it's great that you have the knowledge. In fact, most of the people I work with have lots of knowledge, so that's not the issue. What you have to do is stand back from yourself and think about very deeply who you're writing for. So who's your target audience? Is it a particular industry sector? Is it a particular level of business or management? Is it CEOs? Is it small business? And for you, it might be family businesses. You know, so understanding deeply who you're writing for is absolutely mission critical for your book journey. And understanding the challenges that your target audience face is the key to the whole thing of creating a successful book. Because let's face it, probably most of you have a lot of knowledge, so you can't possibly put all that into one book. So what you need to do is have a mechanism to work out what goes in your book and what doesn't go in your book. And if you stand back from your knowledge and think about your target audience, the key thing around that is understanding what their core challenges are. And if you can work that out, you can then match up of all the knowledge you have, what knowledge are you going to share with your target audience at this point in time. So it's that matching up exercise that's absolutely at the heart of writing and publishing a really successful business book or any sort of book. So again, a lot of the work that we do around this is in around who's your target audience, what are their core challenges, how often do they face those challenges, is it daily or weekly, how will they feel if you can help them solve those challenges. So if you've written your book, go back a bit and have a think about what you've written in terms of who's going to read it, why they'd pick up your book as opposed to somebody else's. And the critical part of that really is that you've got to work out what's most relevant for your target audience. So you have to understand who your target audience is and then deeply understand what their challenges are. Another part of that little equation also is understanding how your target audience currently sources information. So, you know, do they source information via referrals from friends or colleagues? Do they read books? I mean, I'm a printed book tragic, but a lot of people don't read books anymore. You know, they read ebooks or they're listening to audio books. So understanding your target audience and where they are and who they are and how they absorb information, again, becomes mission critical for you in terms of deciding whether you're going to do a printed book, ebook, audio book, or a combination of the above. So again, the key second point to creating a successful business book or any sort of book really is to understand deeply who you're writing for and also what are their key challenges. So the third key part of all this is that you need to create a list of the specific insights and knowledge that you have So I'm just checking on this. Someone says they can't see the screen. So Donna, can everyone see me? I'm not actually sharing a slide at the moment. I'm still having a bit of a chat. So you're not meant to be seeing a slideshow. You get the real me. And if that's what you've got, that's perfect. So Donna, you were just saying, yes, I can see you. Great. Yeah, so no screen share just yet. And I'm not doing too much screen sharing really, to be honest. You know, just wanting to mostly this is downloading some knowledge and using the screen share as a bit of a prompt. So the third key step on writing a successful business book is to focus on the key knowledge and insights that you have and what you can share with your target audience. So a key part of that is to actually list down the key knowledge and insights that you think you want to share with your target audience and have a look at those. Typically in a book, you can't share too much. So I would be typically suggesting to people that depending on the type of book you're writing, you might be sharing 20 or 30 or 40 key insights in that kind of approach, or you might be writing a book with 5 or 6 or 7 key themes, key chapters, and that the knowledge that you share has to really flip it, you know, come in underneath those key chapters. So don't try to approach your book as your opportunity to download every piece of knowledge that you've ever acquired over your life. And another key part of this equation is that if you're looking to create your book to adapt your relevance and place in the marketplace, in fact, you don't want to put everything that you know in your book, because effectively your book is a marketing tool to a degree, and you want to and it's the start of a relationship with potential new clients and customers, or a way for people to engage you. So your book should have some of the content and some of the information you want to give, but ideally it should lead people to your website, and ideally it should lead people to contact you. So from a tactical and a strategic point of view, part of thinking about the knowledge that you want to share in your book is working out what knowledge works best in book form and what knowledge and insights that you have would work better in a more one-to-one kind of approach. So that's the main thing around what goes into your book and what doesn't. And again, often what happens with people when they don't do this thinking and planning to start with is that they say, I'm going to brain dump everything I know, and then before long, it's too much. It's too much for you, and it will certainly be too much for the reader. So those are the 3 key tips that I would suggest in terms of how you go from, if you go from today and think about your book, is, you know, what are your goals and your purpose? What are your outcomes that you're looking for? What time frame are you looking to do it in? Then number 2, stand back from you and all your knowledge and insights and think very deeply about your target audience. Not only will that inform you about what their key challenges are, and of all the knowledge you have, what knowledge is going to be most useful for them. Understanding your target audience is also really important when you get to the whole part of marketing and promoting your book, which is a whole nother thing on its own. But you can't market to everyone. You don't have the time and probably don't have the budget. So unless you're very clear about your target audience, you're going to get really stuck on that part of it as well. So knowing your target audience, where they go for information, what information they're looking for, how they get that information, it's really important, not just for your content, but then later down the track, you know, how you can market your book. So if you work through these steps, you'll also deal with some of the common fears around your writing, and some of you might want to share through your Q&A, perhaps some of the fears that you have around writing, and I'll share a couple that some of my clients have shared with me. A lot of the people that I work with are quite fearful that their writing's not going to be good enough, that their peer group are going to judge them, about what they've written, either the way, the content of what they've written, or whether it's actually high quality enough in terms of, grammar and design. Some people have a real fear that they're going to spend all this time and money and no one will buy their book. Again, that often happens because they haven't really thought too much about the target audience. Some people have a fear about that they won't be able to finish. So that's really, they're very, very, very honest and real, real fears around starting, finishing, and writing and publishing your book. And I often use the analogy when I'm working with my clients and they want to send me their first, their first draft. They say, I say it's a bit like being an artist in a gallery. Imagine if you're an artist, you spend a whole year creating your artworks and it's the opening night at the gallery, and you're walking around and you're the artist and you're listening to people comment about your artwork. A lot of people, some are going to like it, some are not going to, but this fear of sharing your work once it's done is really very, very real. And it's something that if you focus on your target audience and your key knowledge, you will be a lot further on than most people. So, okay, going back to a little bit of the slideshow now. So what I've just run through here is the 3 steps that can help you get started. What's your purpose and goal? Who are you writing for? And what specific knowledge and insights can you meet? Now, I just wanted to run through, so for those who don't know me, I actually work one-to-one with business people on helping them to plan, write and publish their own books. And I've been asked a lot of the time if there was another program or another way that I could work with people. So what I've done is I've developed the Right Strategy program as a combination program of workbooks and templates and checklists that you can work through yourself. And also we're going to have a series of monthly webinars where, so the Right Strategy program is 8 steps over 8 months. And once a month, I will be running a webinar to start off the next step. And prior to that, you would have downloaded workbooks and templates and checklists to work through. And the monthly webinar is really a bit of a summary and a catch up on what you've done. We'll have an open Q&A and I can answer any questions you have. So the 8-step, 8-month program is the Right Strategy program. You also have online support and one-to-one sessions. And also I'm creating a closed Facebook group because oftentimes the accountability factor is a big one for people. And certainly a lot of the people that I work with have commented that, working with somebody and being accountable, both in terms of a budget and in terms of a schedule, is a huge plus for them. So just before I go on to that, again, I'd like to just come back and ask, whoever's here a couple of questions around perhaps, who's found it hard to work out what to write? And if you've started writing, how have you found that going? And another question, if anybody's got some input, is to how many people have found it difficult to keep on writing? So I've answered 19 questions. Oh, let me just have a look here. Okay, Andy, so, you said you found it really difficult to work out what to write. That's a really common challenge. And it goes back to that comment that I made that if you don't think about your target audience clearly enough and their challenges, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to work out all the knowledge you have. What's the key knowledge that you need to share in your book? Another challenge that many people have around their writing, and I don't know if any of you have experienced this, is that you're not sure about whether what you're writing is any good or not. That's a really typical challenge that most people have. And you know, it's often, oh, I'm sorry, I'm just having a look at some of the questions that are coming through. Yes, we're back on, Tamara, we're back on me having a chat. Yeah, so, you know, a real question is around the quality of what you're writing. And again, a lot of what I do with the clients that I work with is once we've got a really clear content outline, you know, is looking at the drafts of what they've written and working out how they can express themselves better, or even just getting the feedback that what they're writing is really good. So you know, there's a range of things, and there's a range of questions around that. And of course, one of the biggest challenges is that, oh, okay, Catherine, for me, it's about the discipline of writing and getting bogged down in research. That's a fascinating one. And it's a bit like when you go and go and search on Google, you know, you go start somewhere, and then before you know it, you're looking at pictures of cats on surfboards or something. And Andy, you've said that too, that, you know, finding this thing to consistently get around to writing. Now, a key tip around that is that ideally what you should be doing is committing at least 2 hours twice a week to writing. Ideally, 3 to 4 hours in one session would be better, but for most people, that's unrealistic. Okay, Lorna and Catherine, you're saying you haven't been able to see the slides. I'm sorry about that. I'm not quite sure why. I'm really covering off most things that are in the slides. They're really just a bit of light entertainment in between looking at me all the time. And I'll make sure that when you get the recording that I'll send the slides through as well. So thank you for letting me know that. But going back to the time frame, it's really important that you write consistently. So at least once or twice a week, and at least for 2 hours, if not 3. A couple of the key reasons around that. If you're not writing consistently every week, it takes too long at your next session to get your brain and everything back up to speed again. And you're wasting time. So you might waste half an hour or 3/4 of an hour kind of getting back up to speed again if you're only getting to write every 2 to 3 weeks. That then creates a bit of frustration because you inevitably don't get enough progress. So you get disillusioned. So if you're writing every week, what you're writing is always sitting in the back of your mind, so you can pick it up much, much quicker if you're writing consistently. Second part of that is if you say, I'm going to write every morning, you know, every Wednesday morning from 9 till 12, or every Thursday night from 9 o'clock till 12, you and everyone around you gets used to that as your writing time. The discipline of that is really, really important. Thirdly, the really key thing around writing regularly is that you will actually make progress. And a lot of people, say that because they don't have a routine, it's not a priority, it's the one thing that always gets shoved off. And again, what happens with that is you get disillusioned. And also you can't finish, which is interestingly, Matt, the hardest thing is to know how to finish. I've actually just helped a client publish their book, and she has had a bit of a challenge with Catherine's problem about too much research and finishing, because this particular client was very much a researcher by heart. And so again, if you've got a clear time frame, if your goals are clear, if you've got a clear content outline, those things help keep you really on track. And if you're working with somebody, whether it's me or an accountability partner, there's that process of keeping at it, being accountable. And Matt, there's always that desire to just do one more thing. And I'm working with a client who's struggling a bit at that at the moment. And I've had to become quite tough and say, enough's enough. You can rewrite something too often. And also the danger around doing that is that the time frame between when you started and when you finished just might be way too long. So your key points might have in fact moved on a bit if you're writing something a bit more topical. So the discipline of writing every week, same time, same length of time, provides a real momentum. It gives you enough time to actually progress in every session. It's really critical to doing that. So I say to the people that I work with, at least one session of 3 to 4 hours a week, or 2 of 2 hours consistently. And if you do that, you can get through a decent sized book in 2, 3, 4 months, as opposed to Marlon, 10 years or Catherine, 5 years or whatever. So it's about making that commitment. It's about making it a priority that are really the important things that you need to do. So again, the key thing around that is know your purpose and your goals, know your target audience, and all of my clients get sick of me saying this, and make it a priority and write consistently. I would be writing probably 3-4 days a week even now. So when I'm not working with clients on their books, I'm a corporate historian. So companies contract me to research and write their books. And I'm usually the one that says, okay, here's the time frame, here's what I'm going to do, and here's how I'm going to do it. So I'm very focused on actually delivering an outcome to a specific period of time. Sherry, how do I work with one-to-one on a one-to-one program? I can give you that information later on. More than happy to share that with you. That program is actually on my website, which is the Book Advisor. So more than happy to chat with you about that. Okay, Tamara, we'll just come back to you because you've had a really good question. Is you've had a real challenge with the content about changing direction, about how you want to proceed. And Tamara, I guess, that comes back to really those 3 things that I said earlier. The real challenge with writing a book is this, I guess, this parallel discussion around your knowledge and what you have to share, and also understanding who your target audience is and what their challenges are. And being clear on both of those and matching those 2 things up. And that's where a lot of people who want to write their book kind of fall apart, because they kind of inherently know what they know, but unless they've been really clear about articulating what that is, for starters, and then most people don't even think really about their target audiences. So that's that really that planning part of before you even start writing, which most people actually don't do. And Matt, I think you've got the I'll never get finished challenge. And again, that's really about having some clear focus and accountability, and be very clear about your goal and what the book is going to do, what you want it to do for you, and why it's important for you, and prioritizing that. And all of those sort of things end up being that you're someone who wants to write a book, but you don't ever either get around to finishing it or publishing it, which is a real shame, because all that knowledge and insight ends up staying in your computer or in your head. Now, I'm going to try and screen share again. Again, it's not mission critical. I don't know why it's not happening. I am not, the reason I'm a book advisor and not a tech person. So again, I'm not sure if anybody can see that. If you can't, I can wing it. So basically the slide is talking about what the special webinar offer is, and I'm more than capable of having a chat about that. And what I want to do is just, as I said, the Write Strategy program is an 8-step, 8-month program. you can actually finish it sooner if you like, or take a bit longer. 8 months is I've chosen that cadence because it's actually a good cadence for most people to work with. And the 8 steps around the program are planning, research and writing, yay, we've got to do that one, building a book community. So something that's really mission critical, and I've found over the years, is a lot of people get hooked up on how to write their book and writing their book, and that's a big enough challenge on its own. But not a lot of people think too much about how they're going to market their book, who they're going to market it to. So in this program, we actually get into that conversation quite early, because as I mentioned earlier, that really underpins a lot of other decisions that you will be making, and to a degree actually underpins how you're going to write and what you're going to write. We then cover the revision and editing process. And usually most manuscripts go through at least 5 or 6 different versions and revisions and proofreading and editing. We also then cover the layout and design component of a book, how to get it printed or not printed, whether it's print on demand, an audio book, an ebook, tons of options these days. There's then a section on sales and marketing, and then another step about how to leverage your book. Again, for a lot of people around the book discussion, it's around, people get caught up in the research and writing part, and totally understand that. But understanding how to effectively market and leverage your book, again, goes back to that thing about what your purpose is and your goals. So it's pretty comprehensive. Andy, I'll answer your question. Slides are now showing. Fantastic. I can see your screen now. Well, yeah, I don't know what's happening there, but something is working. Is writing a series of blogs suitable if there are more topics to cover? Andy, that's a really good question. Again, it's this interesting, I guess, interaction between what's in a book and what's online. And I'd have to say specifically to that, it depends. It depends on what you're trying to do with both your book and your content. If you're wanting to use your book and perhaps blogs to generate more interest in a particular business, or share your knowledge and insights and get people to your website to do that, a series of blogs potentially is a way to do that. I've actually worked with some people who have written blogs over a couple of years and have then turned those into a book. Now, you can't just take blogs and plonk them in a book, but there's ways to do that as well. So thanks for those questions, and I'll run through the special webinar launch offer. So as I've said, the Write Strategy program is my hybrid one-to-one program to help people plan, write, publish and market their books. The normal program price for the Write Strategy is $1,576, and that's for the eight-month program. And today's special webinar offer is $776 for the whole program, which is basically $97 a month. So if you're thinking about moving on from writing your book at whatever place you are in it, this is a one-off webinar only price, because this is the first time I've actually offered this online program. Now, you will have, or hopefully will have, received a email from Donna Parker, who's my program executive, that gives you a link to go and buy the program. So if you've been looking at your emails while you've been listening to this, you might have seen that popped up. And if you haven't, you can go in and have a look at that now. And if you're interested in taking up that offer, that's available for you for attending the webinar, and it will also be available for another couple of hours after the webinar. And after that time, that offer goes. So if you are thinking about joining that program and joining me, I would be delighted to have you on that program. As part of that program, as I said, we'll be creating, I've got a closed Facebook group, and what we'll be doing is you can share your own journeys with various other people who are on the program, and I'm pretty active on it as well. And also there's one-to-one support, should you require that for your own specific needs. Donna Parker is our program executive. So if you've got technical issues, you can chat with her. We work off Google Docs and in the cloud. And what will happen is once you join, we will set you up with a Google folder, and we will download the first 3 workbooks and all the templates and checklists and everything you need for the first 3 steps of the program. And if you want to share documents and materials with myself, that would be the place that you do that. And we operate through the cloud and Google on that. And so, and as I said, there's also the monthly webinars that take you through each step along the way, and where you get to put me through my paces and ask specific questions about your project and your writing, so that we get this dynamic happening where you've kind of got to go and do your homework, and the flipped learning model where you've got to go away and do your homework, and then we come together and we can deal with very specific issues that you have. We've also got access to a bunch of specialists who are editors, proofreaders, graphic designers, search engine specialists, printers, audio book specialists. So, and we've worked with many of those people. And so if you need any support like that, we can recommend people. I do not take a referral fee for anybody that I recommend. So you're more than welcome to use your own people, or we're happy to share our networks as well. So that's really, as I said, it's the first time I'm offering this program. And if you're interested in a one-to-one program with me, I'm more than happy to have that conversation with you later on. And I will try my screen share again and see how we go. And there we go. And hopefully you can see this. So hopefully you've got up on the screen, Donna Parker, I said, is our program executive. You would have received an email from her, hopefully. And there's a picture of Donna, and Donna's on the call as well at the moment. Again, if you want to take up the webinar only offer, that's available now for the next couple of hours. And then after that couple of hours that goes, there's of course other ways you can work with me, but that's a pretty special offer for you. And there are my contact details as well. So if you have any other questions, or you'd like, you've got a specific, oh, okay, here you go, Donna, thank you. Donna's just said, if you can't locate the special email offer link, please contact Donna, and she's at donna@thebookadvisor.com.au. And of course, you can always contact me too. I'll steer you through to Donna, because she's the wizard, all that stuff. So that's, gosh, it's 12:20, so I've done it in under the hour. I promised I would. And I wanted to leave 10 minutes spare for anybody if they've got any particular questions that they would like to ask me, or queries about where they're at in their particular book. Andy, I know that Andy's actually interesting. He's a specialist in working from anywhere, and I think, Andy, you're currently driving down the North Coast from Scott's Head or somewhere, so thank you for joining from the car. Andy, I know that one of your challenges, yeah, it is a great deal, Andy, thank you so much for that. I'm just passionate about books and helping people with them. So I guess, if anyone's got any questions about where they're at the moment in their book, if they're just starting, or Matt, if you've got a challenge about how to finish, so yeah, making it redundant. So, how to finish is maybe set yourself a deadline for finishing, and work to that. And more than happy to have a chat with you about, you know, where you're at with your book. And possibly, Matt, it may be that you're, is that fear factor of it not being good enough. So you keep researching because you are not sure whether it's ever going to be good enough. I don't, you know, I've written 19 books and I'm pretty happy with all of them. Were they all good enough? Oh, definitely. Could I have done more? Absolutely. But I think the thing around that is that the art of writing is to write less, not more, and to be really succinct about what you're covering in your book. So if you've got a specialist area, again, understanding the key challenges of your target audience or your key interests of your target audience helps guide you into just the level and depth of information that you need. So it's this thing around going back to that thing of matching your knowledge with the key challenges of your audience. And that's where most business writers get stuck. So again, it's the pre-thinking and planning. And Matt, for you may well be better off in a one-to-one. I'm not quite sure what your topic is. I can hazard a guess, but I won't. And often, you know, certainly as Andy said, group Q&A sessions are often really good because it enables people, it'll enable you to get some insights. Because often when you're so caught up in your own book and your own writing, it's hard to get perspective on it. And somebody might come in and just say, well, why did you do that? Or that's not that relevant. So good point, Andy. It's, you know, often being on your own and writing on your own is really pretty challenging. So there we go. So if anybody's got any other questions, I will talk about the Book Advisor program. So that's my one-to-one program that I offer, where I work personally with someone right through their whole book process. And I'm more than happy to talk to people about that offline if you're interested in that. So if nobody's got any other questions, I will stop my screen share and would like to thank all of you for joining the webinar and putting up with my average screen sharing ability. But I hope this has been useful for you. And if you have any questions about the Write Strategy course, I'd be really happy to answer them, and so would Donna. And if you're interested, by all means, please contact us. And if you'd like to talk to me about the one-to-one program offer, I'd be delighted to as well. So I hope you all have a good day. Vikita, thank you so much for coming in from Egypt. And Greg and Sherry and Andy and Marlon, thank you so much for all your support. Have a wonderful day, and I look forward to working with all of you in some way, shape or form, because I'm really passionate about books, and my book mission is to change the world one book at a time. So if I can help you do that with your book, I would be really delighted. Thank you so much, and have a good day, and I will also share the slides. Bye for now.